Good evening, fellow councillors, staff, members of the public. I'd like to welcome you to today's regular meeting of council for October 28th, 2025. It's being transmitted electronically, being the council chambers located at 39 South Shore Road here in Lake Cowichan. I'd first of all like to acknowledge our gathering on the traditional territory of the Subasik people with thanks. We have some additions to the agenda. Under correspondence C, you have a memo about current appointments that are about to expire on November 1st. So council appointments. That's under business arising. Also under correspondence, emergency management bylaw from the CBRD as a regional service. And then under new business B, we have a leave of absence for Councillor Frisbee for the November 4th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting. That covers them all, I believe. And with that, looking for approval of the agenda as amended. Councillor Frisbee, seconded by Councillor Bomaka. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Moving on to public input. Public input is your opportunity to provide input on anything on tonight's agenda before we do discuss it. If you wish to come forward to the podium and push the microphone for any public input on the agenda items, please just provide your name and state what you are speaking to. Looking at a mad rush to the podium, I don't see any, so we'll move on. We have a couple of sets of minutes to endorse. Looking for September 16th, 2025 regular council meeting. Any errors or omissions that we see? Moved by Councillor Sandhu, seconded by Councillor Austin. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. And then Committee of the Whole minutes, October 14th, 2025. Councillor Frisbee, seconded by Councillor Sandhu. Any discussion on those? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. So business arising and unfinished business. Councillor Frisbee.
Yeah, I've got a conflict of interest with the development variance permit for 169 South Shore Road. I own the neighbouring property, so any development may affect my property. So I'm going to leave for this one.
Okay. Minutes note, Councillor Frisbee has left at 5:02. So once he leaves, we will resume the discussion. I'll turn to staff for the introduction of this, if you wish.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this item we heard at a previous, at the committee meeting, council meeting, can't remember, sorry. And unfortunately, a motion wasn't passed to either approve or not approve the proposed variance. The correspondence that we received from neighbors was submitted at the last meeting, but you've received it again, just as a refresher. The variance was related to reducing the parking requirements, and there's a cash in lieu element to the that the applicant has been willing to provide. So the variance request is to vary the zoning bylaw schedule B for 3 parking stalls, because they are proposing to provide cash in lieu for 3 stalls.
Thank you for that. And if you'll recall, we did discuss this at the previous meeting, but failed to have a mover and seconder before it was endorsed. So my fault for that, and I will take full responsibility for not following through with that. So is there any discussion on this for a second time? Councillor Sandhu. I would look for a motion if possible. Moved by Councillor Sandhu that we approve the variance for 169 South Shore Road. And seconded by Councillor Austin. Any further discussion? Councillor Bomaka. Push your microphone.
So under the background, we're zoning bylaw, and it's $4,000 per parking stall, which is $12,000 in lieu. So it says the funds collected through cash in lieu are required to be placed in a reserve fund, must be used for transportation-related improvements for pedestrians, cyclists, as well as vehicles. And there was mention of perhaps parking spots being put in down by the rhododendron area, and if we could just have a report from our superintendent if that's viable, and if that money can be used for that, please.
I can confirm that, yeah, that is certainly the intended purpose of cash in lieu of parking, that it be used for such an improvement. And I will pass it off to Superintendent Sandhu.
No, I'll stand right. That's okay. So we have looked at a couple of locations for parking, and down the end of Cowichan Avenue, I think we can create some there. We have quite a bit of width there, so we can get 3 or 4 parking spots there. You're welcome.
Any further discussion? So all in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. We'll wait for Councillor Frisbee to return. Thanks for your indulgence with that as we brought that back. Thank you, staff. So moving on, do we have to deal with the actionable resolutions? So looking to that from the October 14th, under actionable resolutions, there are a number of options there. So it's proceed with adopting the actionable resolutions, which is recommended by staff. Proceed with adopting the actionable resolutions with the following amendments, which are published, and I will not read them out. Staff is recommending option 1, so looking for a motion for option 1. Moved by Councillor Sandhu, seconded by Councillor Frisbee. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Thank you. Moving on, we have correspondence. One from Nanoka Kawasaki regarding an art exhibit proposal for, actually, I forgot the council appointments, so we'll move to that. And there is a memo there to maintain the appointments, the current appointments that you have been handed. They expire on November 1st. So without passing this, to keep it as current until amended accordingly, they would all be dissolved. So I'm looking for a motion that all current council appointments to committees, boards, and external bodies remain in effect until amended or rescinded by council. Moved by Councillor Bomaka, seconded by Councillor Austin. Any discussion on that? And we'll have a brief discussion later to see if you're still okay with the appointments that have been printed here, or if there's a need for some amendments there. We can discuss that later on. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll go on to Ms. Kawasaki for the art exhibit proposal between Otaki and Canada. Anything to bring forward on that, staff, or is it just the correspondence that's for us to discuss?
Just the correspondence at the moment. I understand there may be a visit later on in the year by the participant. to present the artwork in person.
Discussion on this one? So is the desire of council to reach out to Ms. Kawasaki and see if there's a place or a venue for accommodating this exhibit? If so, would someone like to move that? Moved by Councillor Austin that we reach out to Ms. Kawasaki for further information and possible exhibition as stated in the letter. Seconded by Councillor Vomaka. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Then going on to Duncan Brown from the Advisory Planning Commission. There's correspondence there. Got to catch up with my, ma'am. Councillor Austin.
Excuse me. Could we send a letter of to Mr. Brown thanking him for his service? He's been there quite a few years.
So the correspondence from Mr. Brown is to inform us that he is leaving the Area Planning Commission, that he served for almost 5 years, and feels that he cannot contribute anymore. So would you accept that letter, first of all, as his resignation? Moved by Councillor Austin, seconded by Councillor Vomaka. And secondly, you wanted to move a letter of thanks to Mr. Brown for his service on the Area Planning Commission. Moved by Councillor Austin, seconded by Councillor Vomaka, that a letter be sent. All in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Next, we have the Association of Vancouver Island Coastal Communities. That's education and engagement opportunities. Anyone wish to speak to that?
Point of order. Sorry,
Sure.
there were 2 motions moved and seconded, and 1 vote.
Okay, so the second one we voted on.
Yeah.
Okay, we will vote on the letter. It was moved and seconded. All in favor of receiving the letter? Opposed? Thanks for catching that. We don't want to do that again. Now we'll move on to the Association of Vancouver Island Coastal Communities. That's education and engagement opportunities. Anyone wish to speak to this? Receive. Councillor Vomaka.
I just wanted to ask, is this similar to the one that we attended with the CVRD?
That is correct.
No action on this? Receive and file. And then we have the emergency management bylaw that was endorsed at the Cowichan Valley Regional District. And it has to come to us for municipal endorsement. Discussion on that? Looking for someone to move that. You're okay with that, Councillor Vomaka? Okay, moved by Councillor Sandu, seconded by Councillor Frisbee. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Thank you. Now we'll go to the Committee of the Whole, Council and Committee reports. Councillor Frisbee for the Committee of the Whole.
I think because we've passed the minutes and the actionable resolutions, there's nothing to report.
Thank you very much. I wanted to give you a chance to have the microphone, though. Councillor Sandu, anything on the Cowichan Lake Recreation, or you were absent, or
Councillor Frisbee speaking on it.
would you like to try that now, Councillor Frisbee?
Yeah, I can do that. So we approved the new policy for commemorative recognition. So basically a policy on what goes in the display cases around the rec centres within the CVRD. We got an update on the cladding project that's underway up there. It's slow moving, but it is moving. And we also approved some upgrades to the UBO Community Centre kitchen. We had to renovate that to get approval from Island Health. So we approved $5,000 to go towards that, but that money is coming out of the current maintenance budget, so it doesn't have any budget ramifications. And our next meeting is November 24th.
Thank you for that report. Councillor Vomaka, anything from the Vancouver Island Regional Library Board?
Just a few updates. At the UBCM session, Libraries on the Front Lines, Chris Hemmons joined a panel of public library leaders providing a local government perspective on the need to stabilize public library funding in the province. There was a UBCM library reception at the James Bay branch, which was a success, attended by the Honorable Christine Boyle, Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs, the Honorable Brittany Anderson, Minister of State for Local Governments and Rural Communities, and library trustees from across BC. Premier David Eby recognized libraries as vital community hubs, noting there would be no operational funding increase in the 2025 budget due to fiscal constraints, which seemed to be the word that everybody was getting. But he is reaffirming support through one-time capital grants. Staff continue to coordinate provincial government relations efforts with the BC Public Library partners who are advocating for an increase in sectoral funding to $30 million a year to help to fund libraries. So under member relations, a memorandum of understanding with the District of Tofino and Tofino Housing Corporation has been executed. And the Tofino Branch Business Case Part 2 was approved as part of the 2026 and 2030 financial plan, and the preliminary planning is ongoing. The Village of Tassis has committed to assume ownership of the east wing of Captain Mears Elementary Secondary School to enable the new Tassis branch. So this is something different now, where the library is actually partnering with a school, which is good news. A draft memorandum of understanding has been prepared with the village and the school district 84. The Strathcona Regional District approved MFA financing for the Campbell River Branch business case, and the Virl staff met with the city of Campbell River in September on preliminary plans. So it's nice to see that even though Virl has had some financial setbacks, that there's still new libraries being planned. Canada Post has transitioned from a nationwide strike to rotating stoppages, so Virl is working to minimize service disruptions as a lot of books are sent through mail. And Virl's Nanaimo Waterfront HVAC project has been nominated for a 2025 Fortis BC Efficiency in Action Award after achieving a 24% reduction in electricity use, a 6% reduction in natural gas use, and a 7% overall cut in emissions, which is pretty impressive. The Quadra Island branch will expand by 1,465 feet, and this was made possible through the landlord's provision of additional space and at no increase in the base rent agreement through to September of 2036. So that's nice to know. Virl's collective agreement with BCGEU expired on December the 31st, 2024. Bargaining preparations are underway and will commence shortly on October the 26th. And implementation of the standardized scheduling and operating review is ongoing. New branch hours took effect September 21st across all 39 Virl branches. Updates for trustees are posted in Boardable. And speaking to the librarian in Lake Cowichan, it made a difference of opening an hour later and staying open an hour longer. But there were no impact to staff hours being cut. And Virl continues monitoring tariff impacts and developing operational contingencies for anything that is coming across the south of the border. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any questions to Councillor Vomaka? Thank you for your representation on that. Councillor Sandu on the Advisory Planning Commission.
Thank you. We held our meeting last Thursday, and recommendations will be coming to our next regular council meeting in November.
Thank you for that. I have nothing on the community forest to report. The next one is the Cowichan Valley Regional District. A number of meetings in October. October 8th, Committee of the Whole. The Solid Waste and Fees and Regulations Amendment Bylaw was considered for 3 readings and adoption by the board, but also within that staff be directed to prepare a formal letter to the Ministry of Environment and Parks, accompanied by a press release, urging the ministry to fulfill its commitment to a mattress extended producer responsibility program and proceed without delay, and that the correspondence be shared with the local BC MLAs, the Union of British Columbia Municipalities, and BC Premier David Eby to reinforce the urgency and importance of this program. Recycling of mattresses is a very intense, labor-intense program, and the prices of that continue to increase. Also, that a 1-year agreement between the Central Island 911 Partnership and ECOM 911 for the purposes of primary 911 call, answering from January 1st, 2025 until December 2026. Regional and community parks and trails visitation numbers were shared to the board. And then on the board meeting of the same day, the 5-year financial plan from Vancouver Island Regional Library Board was presented. Also a notice from Mosaic on thinning activity on the Bushmain, Trans-Canada Trail, and some of the closures and safety concerns within the Christine Falls Loop. The official community plan, the harmonized official community plan for electoral areas bylaw number 4373 was debated, amendments proposed, and after considerable discussions, the original bylaw was endorsed and sent for public hearing. It will be coming back in November for reconsideration and endorsement and further discussion. It was also moved and seconded that development of an emergency shelter and supportive housing siting policy be funded to a maximum of $50,000 through Function 100, and that the board direct staff to request Cowichan Housing Association allocate funding for this siting policy through the annual CHA contribution agreement. $54,000 from the Drinking Water and Watershed Management Program was allocated to the Regional District of Nanaimo as the CBRD's portion of the share of the Phase 3 water budget study for Yellow Point, Cedar, Cassidy area. Also moved and seconded that the Hillcrest Chinese Cemetery, located within the PID 009/901/906, be added to the Cowichan Valley Regional District Community Heritage Registry. Also at the board meeting of October 22nd, that further planning be undertaken subject to budget allocations in 2026 for 2 parts. Completion of an operational conditional assessment of the 2 existing public boat launches, and long-term planning for viability of boat launch amenities at West Shawnican Lake Park or other locations around the lake. There was also a soil deposit permit was amended and renewed, and also that the CBRD act as the lead municipality for Malahat's First Nations application to the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Local Leadership for Climate Adaptation Initiatives for the Malahat Creek Restoration Feasibility Study. And with that, that's for information. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me later. Moving on to community outreach team, Councillor Austin.
Thank you. I'm going to read from 2 sets of minutes because I missed the other meeting, but on September 18th, we met the new sergeant, Kevin Mack. He came here in August. He gave an overview of the RCMP office to date. 10 provincial positions, 1 surplus for additional resources, 2 officers currently on soft leave, and 1 federal position that heads out to the NITNAT. They're now wearing body cams. I made sure he didn't have it on at the time. And he said they've seen complaints go down as a result. So he showed us how it worked and whatever. And on October 19th, they hosted a food drive called Fill the Cruiser with the Scouts, which was very successful, I hear. We did receive a letter that the Strong Start program is expected to start up again. And on October 16th, Joycelyn Lundberg, the executive director, said they're still looking for an ECE, early childhood educator, to run that program at Paulson. They're going to be hiring another community youth and family support worker. They had a family fun fair on October 25th. Christmas hamper applications open November 1st, so if we let everybody know that would like to have a hamper. They still have 2 offices available for short or long-term rental. Cameron announced that he's still very happy that the bus strike is over. Attendance at the luncheons and the refresh market are still quite up there. Kristen from the library mentioned quite a few of the different programs. They have several programs on right now, and they're now getting, because of the students, some young children and teens are hanging out at the library after school and on Saturday. Some of us have been taking food over there, like fruit and bars and things. They're now getting food deliveries from Nourish Cowichan, and they have a fridge stocked with snacks for the kids after school, so that really helps. Some of those kids stay there right till 5 o'clock till their parents get home. The hours changed a little bit. They did lose some of their funding for programs. I think they lost $500 in this last little bit that happened. And they're basically focusing on community development skills and visual displays and that type of thing. Learning to cook, building community, being neighborly. Carolyn from Public Health mentioned flu vaccines started October 17th. They'll be every Friday. You just need to call 1-833-838-2323. A lot of threes there. And they're still doing the Baby Talk program. She mentioned primary care, which we have there with 1 nurse practitioner full-time, 1 part-time nurse practitioner, a student nurse practitioner, 1 RN, and 2 medical office assistants. And the place is very busy, and there will be another announcement coming with another person coming in there. So it's lots of stuff going on with community outreach. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any questions to Councillor Austin? Seeing none, we'll move on. Our Cowichan, I have nothing, but I believe my alternate, Councillor Austin, may have some input on that.
Yes, I get their newsletters. I'm the alternate. So I've just a little piece of it is that this year their focus is on mental health, with prevention being the best medicine. The service link for that one is 1-888-885-8824. We might want to put that on our website. It's a crisis line. You can also dial 911. So the Cowichan Valley Mental Health and Substance Use Island Health Group are providing services for individuals with moderate to severe adult mental health and substance use concerns. So they're doing a lot of work in the community. Our Cowichan is a great group of people that work throughout the whole valley and help people from day to day on a day-to-day basis. Thank you.
Thanks for the update. Any questions or comments to Councillor Austin? Seeing none, Councillor Sandhu, Cowichan Watershed Board.
Thank you. We held our monthly meeting yesterday by Zoom. We had Brian Houle from Domtar give a water management update for the Cowichan River for 2025. Currently, the flows are at 25 CMS. Pumps were ready to go at a cost of about $100,000 to Domtar. And then he went back to 2016 to show the Cowichan Watershed Board that was the first year that pumps were put in. So I'm just going to go back from 2016 to 2023. So in 2016, first year to install pumps, rain came early, no pumping. 2017, lake was drained. 2:18, concern of running out of water, rain arrived early. 2:19, dry year, pumping 19 days. 2:20, higher lake levels, rain arrived early. 2:21 was a challenging year with risk of pumping. Lake dropped to below zero supply in September, and I believe that's when the town of Lake Cowichan had to look at our water intake, that if the water level dropped below a certain number, that we would have no water. So I know the Public Works had done some work with that. So, and in 2:22, a wet year. 2:23, a very difficult year. 36 days of pumping, and that was the year of the fish kill. Where they're looking for 2:26, how they feel is that it's looking better as we have learned the past previous years. They also talked about the weekly technical meetings that were held every Monday and the importance of combining everything needed, information from different parties to, when there was a solution needed, this group came together, and that was something that is standing out provincially with the Cowichan Watershed Board, that we've taken the lead on the Cowichan River. We're not waiting for something to happen. There's work in place all year, not just the dry summer months, so that's important. DFO has provided Domtar with a guidance to submit an application for authorization for 5 years. Authorization will focus on keeping and sustaining a full lake in the spring. So what they're saying is a full lake in the spring will support 7 CMS through the dry season. So it's basically a mandate from the province to Domtar. One more. Then we had an update from Kurt Stinchcomb from Econics. He's the project lead on the Weir. He's been working on this project for 1 year. There has been $28 million secured for the project. There's a shortfall of funds significant, up to possibly $20 million. Phase 2 will begin soon. KWL is preparing a budget schedule, and it'll be complete in early 2026. And next steps that will be led by Cowichan Tribes is an archaeology study, First Nations engagement, and a vegetation study, which has already started. So our next meeting is November 24th.
Thank you for that. Any questions on the Cowichan Watershed Board? I want to thank staff for all their work during this difficult year and mitigating a similar incident to 2023. Thank you. And moving on, Councillor Frisbee or Councillor Austin or both on Otaki 20.
There hasn't been any planning meetings since my last report. We do need a direction to staff. The delegation that is visiting next year would like to come to Lake Cowichan October 11th through to October 15th. And if no one's got a problem with that, we just need to give approval for those dates.
October 11th to October 15th, 2026?
Yeah, 2026. So that's the updated itinerary, and that's the dates they'll be in Lake Cowichan.
Okay. We can just have staff put that in the calendar of the visitation from our sister city in Otaki. Sir.
I think in the strategic plan or budget process, council should also discuss a budget for this program. Costs of things have gone up, and I think we want to ensure a positive experience continues. So I think that will be an opportunity for council as well.
Thank you for that. Councillor Austin.
Thank you. We have a 2027 Otaki delegation ready. There are 9 students. David Prack is leading that. He's the president and doing a great job. Our next meeting is November 18th here in council chambers.
Thank you for that. We'll have to decide who goes next. So we'll deal with that when the time comes. Whoever's sitting at this table. Now we'll move on to staff reports, probably what most of the people here are for, not the previous discussions. We have Staff report A is a development variance permit for 7987 Greendale Road. I'll turn to staff for introduction of this.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, a variance to the front yard setback for the property owner who would like to build a shop. It's the shape of the property is such that it limits his ability to meet the setbacks. And so he's requesting a variance to build his shop at 5 meters instead of 6.1. And then again, it's in R3 zoned, so he's unable, because of the configuration of the lot, unable to meet the differential between the front face of the dwelling and the garage, or the shop, the accessory. So the request is or staff's recommendation is to approve development variance permit 2025-07 to vary 5.1.6 F1I to reduce the front lot line setback from 6.1 meters to 5 meters, and to remove the requirement that the front face of the garage shall be set back from the front face of the dwelling to permit the construction of a shop accessory building at 6987 Greendale on the lot legally described as Lot 1, District Lot 16, Cowichan Lake District, Plan VIP 9301, and with the PID there as well.
So there's the recommendation. Would someone like to move that? Moved by Councillor Bomaka, seconded by Councillor Frisbee. Discussion on this? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. We'll continue on with B, and that's a development permit application for 291 Castley Heights.
Thank you. So, yes, this is an application to regularize a structure, a retaining structure that was constructed without any permit or development permit on a steep slope property at 291 Castley Heights Road. As part of this application, the property owners did provide a geotechnical assessment confirming the suitability of the retaining structure, and they also provided documents from the contractor who installed the retaining structure and supporting that it was adequately addressed in terms of drainage. And there were 2 letters that were received from neighbors. Those 2 letters they speak to the issue of drainage, but there are other issues that are addressed in this letter about tree topping and so on, which really doesn't apply in this instance. And the property owners have indicated as well that any tree topping that was done in consultation or done with permission of the property owner, as an aside. So, I mean, we have investigated it. I think this is a challenging subdivision because of the lay of the land with the cul-de-sac at the top and the water drains down. And so I think there's larger issues related to drainage in that area, as I understand it. But as far as this application goes, we're certainly recommending approval of the construction that was done previously, and so approval of this development permit. To development permit 2025-07 to regularize construction of the retaining wall in DPA 2 at 291 Castley Heights, as shown in the general location on the attached plan on lot legally described as Lot 13, Section 5, Renfrew District, Plan VIP 549440.
That's on the table for your consideration. Do we have a mover? Moved by Councillor Sandu. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Frisbee. Discussion on this item? Councillor Frisbee.
Yeah, it's a tough one because I've been on both ends of this where the drainage issue coming onto your property isn't really an issue that the town has or the city has, and it's difficult that you got to go through the civil aspect of that, and it is frustrating. But as far as what the town has to deal with, it is, it's not in our parameters. So although frustrating for neighboring properties, this is something that I think we should approve.
Thank you for that. Anyone else? I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Thank you. Carrying on with C, a development permit application for 456 Winter Drive. Ms. Reynolds.
Okay. Sorry, just a minute here. Let me get my papers. So we have an application here for a development permit related to development permit area number 1, riparian area. And the applicant has gone through or submitted as part of their application the geotechnical assessment and a riparian area assessment. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just having a hard time with finding the staff report. No. Yeah. Okay. So they had a riparian area protection regulation assessment report prepared at the end of June. The wrong one. It's the other one. Sorry, this one here. There we go.
It's up on the screen if you want to follow along.
Yeah,
You can't see that far, can you?
There we go. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay, water, so it's at the rear of the property, there's a development permit area. The development permit area covers the majority of the parcel. And so as part of the riparian area assessment, the streamside protection enhancement area is established through the methodology that's laid out in the assessment report. And so you'll see on the top, the north corner is where that streamside, the SPIA, the streamside protection enhancement area is. So the development is outside of the SPIA, which is as it should be. One of the conditions that is recommended as part of this application is there's a number of hazard trees. There's, I think, a total of 15 or so hazard trees that have to be removed that are in the covenant area at the rear of the property. Approximately four of them are within the SPIA. And so as a result, I'm recommending that there be replanting done as condition of the permit to replace the trees that need to come down. Otherwise, the application is consistent with the development permit guidelines, and they provided the various reports necessary for their application.
Thank you for that. So the recommendation is there for you with the conditions. Would you like them read out? I really don't want to read them all. Moved by Councillor Sandhu, seconded by Councillor Lomaka. Questions on this one? Call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. And we have one more. That's a development variance permit application for 476 Winter Drive. Ms. Reynolds.
Thank you. And with this one, so this is also in the same subdivision, the Slopes, Phase 5. And again, this application is dealing with a development permit with a variance, development permit relating to the watercourse at the rear of the property. This application, they're proposing they would like to move their dwelling further away from the covenant area, the streamside protection enhancement area, and move it closer to the street. So that's why the variance is being requested. And in this case, they've also provided all the necessary reports showing, as far as the riparian assessment and the geotech report in support of their application. And there's a recommendation there in the staff report that I won't read out.
Okay, so there is a recommendation to approve the application. Do I have a mover of that? Counselor Bomaka, seconded by Counselor Austin. Questions on this one? All in favor? Opposed, if any? Thank you very much, Ms. Reynolds, for those. Moving on, we have the 2026 financial plan process. Would you like to speak to this, Mr. Thomas?
I do, and it's my pleasure. Our CFO is unavailable tonight, so I will walk council through the report. In previous committee of the whole and regular council meeting, we had brought forward a draft of the timelines for the budget 2026 for the 5-year financial plan. Since council has firmed up its date for the strategic planning session, we have amended the dates for the consequential dates for the other meeting times to reflect what is in the report today. And we just would like council to confirm whether those dates are acceptable to council, and if we can move forward with planning to meet those requirements as set out in the report.
Thank you for that. I'll turn to my colleagues. Any concerns with the dates proposed in here? You're good with this plan moving forward? Everyone's shaking their heads, so please carry on with the proposed dates and plan forward.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And moving on, we'll stay with you in the absence of our CFO for the insurance renewal, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you. We have a couple of insurance policy coming up due for renewal. We have our fleet insurance that's coming up due at the end of the month. And we also have our annual general liability insurance package that is due for renewal. Earlier this year, we had to complete an assessment and appraisal of our assets, and that appraisal has been reflected in here. We anticipate our property insurance renewal premium to be about $160,000 for 2025, 2026. The expiring premium is $136,000 roughly, so an increase of about $24,854. The appraisal value changes are listed on page 2 of this particular report. You will see upon renewal for property, the appraised value of all our assets has increased by $137,000. Some equipment has increased there as well by $2,700. Crime, $4,400. Machinery, $1,500. Accidental death and dismemberment, $432. And the annual fees, again, has gone up to about $13,798, totaling $160,889. The total value of our insured asset is $60,431,576. This is an increase of about $16.6 million. We have purchased some assets, but again, this is just a reassessment that was mandated by our insurance policy of all our assets. An appraisal of the town asset, again, like I mentioned, was completed earlier this year in April by Pacific Rim, and this has driven the changes in some of our renewal premiums. There has been an adjustment in deductible from $10,000 increase to $25,000. In terms of coverage, our expiring coverage was $1 million for automatic coverage limit. I guess the general liability amount was $1 million. Now it's going to be $2 million. Property under construction was $1 million. Now it's going to be $2 million. Property in transit, $250,000. Now it's going to be $500,000. Land and water pollution cleanup was $100,000. Now it's going to be $500,000. Ingress or egress was $100,000. Now it's going to be $500,000. Aon negotiated a 10% rate decrease on the town's behalf with carriers when they went out to market to shop for different rates. That being said, the cost for 2025-2026 is about $41,000 $155. Last year was $37,953. Before council, there's a recommendation to move forward with the renewal program for all our insurance. There is going to be a slight overage in terms of our budget amount, so we may have to look at that later. But the resolution that we're recommending is as follows. Renew the insurance proposal from Aon Reed Stenhouse at a cost of $160,889 for renewal term November 1st, 2025 to October 31st, 2026, and renew the fleet insurance with Westland Insurance at a cost not to exceed $43,000.
So there's the recommended motion. Would anyone like to move that to get it on the floor? Moved by Councillor Frisbee, seconded by Councillor Bomaka. Discussion on this. I think we're seeing in the insurance market considerable increases even for property owners year after year, considering some of the incidents that have happened with wildfires, et cetera. So we're not immune to that. Having considerable insurable assets, the price would definitely increase accordingly. Having said that, I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. We'll stay on with the finance on the Katsa Museum. Again, Mr. Thomas.
On the roll tonight. This report is to follow up on a request from council for some information about procurement decisions that has been made by the administration. This report provides that information and also touches on the policy implications that are at play. So at the October 14 Committee of the Whole, Mayor McGonigal requested information on the dollar threshold for sole sourcing capital projects and for details on the museum capital project expense that has been done to date. Before you is the signed copy of the purchase order, which reflects that a total of $12,500 has been approved to be spent. $4,500 of this has been spent in 2024, $8,000 in 2025, which was paid to Kit Cassidy, the contractor. This work is to do painting, generally, of that particular premise. In 2024 financial plan, it included a $10,000 budget for this project. In 2025, the budget for the museum capital work is totaling $70,000. In terms of the policy implication, we have an existing policy from 2002 in place, and I will stress that it's from 2002. This policy absolutely needs to be reworked and improved to meet today's standards. That takes into consideration free trade agreements that the province and federal government have signed, updated threshold for signing authorities. As you will see, some of the signing authorities are lower than the average household credit card, and we expect managers to operate departments with that, and it's very difficult. And we need to include parameters around sole sourcing, tendering process, invitation to tender, the parameters of posting it online, posting it on BC Bid, and incorporating some of those other structures that you would expect for municipalities in today's standards. Any questions from council?
Thank you for that. I'll turn to council. Councillor Bomaka, something?
Just more of a comment is that it would be nice that it's our policy to have a more in-depth contract with not just a person's name, but their address, etc. And if you look at the invoice, it's got a subtotal of the $12,500. Obviously, this is an independent person, so there's no GST, but even on this invoice, total amount is blank. So I think that we need to be a little more stringent on the invoicing of how it's prepared.
Thank you for
Just
that.
my comment.
Just a comment. And anyone else? One of the points that I had made was on sole sourcing, and I don't see anything on this, so that would be something that might come forward in the strategic plan under option 2. So I'm hoping that someone will move option 2 to receive this report and discuss policy at strategic planning session. Moved by Councillor Frisbee, seconded by Counselor Austin, trying to get everyone in there. And if I may, I think it's important that we update from 2002 to 2025 as we move forward with increased costs, supply chain issues, sole sourcing as opposed to RFPs, RFQs, et cetera, and where those thresholds are. Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to Council. I just want to assure you that even though there may be some need to update policies, I am not, as your CAO, going to wait until those policies are finalized before doing what is in the best interest of the municipality to make sure the best value is provided to the municipality for every public dollar. So we are having internal discussions as a management team on what changes we need to be making in advance of the policy. And when the policy does come in place, it will just strengthen that and make it more organizational wide. But we are aware of this issue and we're taking steps in the meantime.
Thank you for that. And I think there's best practices out there throughout UBCM with some literature on this sort of policy, et cetera. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to put air in ours. Moving on, we're going to stay with you again. And I'm going to vote on that. All in favor on option 2? Opposed? Just getting ahead of myself. The ambulance building heat pump is the next item, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you. Earlier this year, the ambulance bay and unit is part of the fire department. Historically, it has not been seen or managed by the same department head. We have since made an internal change around that to make it that the fire chief is actually responsible for the entire premise of the fire hall, which includes the maintenance of the ambulance unit as well. That is a structural change because prior to that, I understand it was being the responsibility of the CAO, and it just didn't seem aligned in that approach. Earlier this year, the fire chief had coordinated some maintenance repair on the building to include HVAC systems, I think 2 heat pumps. During that maintenance exercise, it was discovered that one of the units, particularly the one servicing the ambulance area, was not repairable and needed to be replaced. This was more or less a necessary emergency kind of situation to respond to, so the direction was to replace. Right? Yep, the direction was to replace the heat pump. A total of $16,450 were spent, which was not included in the capital budget for 2025. This cost could be covered from surplus funds, which technically might increase the deficit, but is also drawing down from surplus to cover those particular expenses, or by reducing allocation from another capital project that has not been initiated or completed in 2025. There is a total of $400,000 budgeted for the Madrid child area upgrades that have not been spent. There are 2 options that staff is presenting to council to cover that particular shortfall. At the end of the day, we need to be mindful that the bottom line of the budget, your revenues and expenses, total expenses, are not being exceeded by this particular purchase. But we're coming forward from to council for transparency reasons, for accountability reasons, to show you that there has been a change in capital budget, and to cover a critical maintenance issue, and we're asking for council permission to allocate funding to that specific project. Option 1 would be to amend the budget by adding $20,000 to the capital budget for the heat pump at the ambulance portion of the fire hall building, or option 2, to amend the capital budget by adding $20,000 for the ambulance building heat pump, and also reducing the Mildred child area upgrade capital budget by $20,000, which would have a net 0 effect on your overall financial plan this year.
So there are your 2 options, council. Would someone like to move either 1 or 2? Councillor Frisbee is moving number 2. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Austin? Discussion on this one, Councillor Frisbee.
I know last time that we were looking at the budget for the Mildred child area, which is the parking lot outside we're well under budget, but there was a generator that was going to be a large expense under that project. Is that still going ahead? Yeah, so it won't be included in this budget.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And if council was to move ahead with a generator project, that would be a capital project. The best time would be to add that to your financial planning document, which I think you'll be looking forward to a new presentation of format for capital budgets going forward.
Councillor Austin, anything? Councillor Vomaka?
Just wanted to ask what was left in that Mildred Childs budget.
I'm not sure. I would have to come back to council with that.
That's not the 400,000, because we've
No.
expended.
No. We-
There might be about 300. Okay, thank you.
And there's still some work to do within that capital project, so not totally expended, but anything unexpended will roll over into next year, just so we're all on the same page. Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. And then we have the draft budget for the fire department. This is one of the first ones that comes to us because of the complexity of coverage within the Cowichan Valley Regional District and their timing of budgets as opposed to ours. So this would be the first kick at this before it goes to the CBRD. Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So before you have the draft budget for the fire department, which services areas within the Cowichan Valley Regional District, there is an agreement with CBRD for proportional funding, which is why it is needed by their finance department to include in their financial planning processes, which is much earlier than municipalities. Municipalities have until May 15th to adopt their budget. I believe regional district has until March of the fiscal year to do so, so they have to start much earlier than municipality does. In saying that, I'm going to walk council through the financial plan in detail for the fire department. Unfortunately, the chief is unable to attend for personal reasons that are unavoidable, so I will do it on his behalf. In summary, the proposed 2026 budget proposes an increase of $97,200. That amounts to approximately 7.5% increase year over year. Flipping over here, the core part of this budget, separating capital investments that are being made by council, is to succession plan for the organization. And we'll go into a little bit about that in a moment. Succession planning is a core business function that we as an organization needs to be prepared for. It shouldn't catch us by surprise that a department head needs to take some time off or scale back their involvement in the organization or retire. We should proactively plan ahead, and I think the fire chief, and I thank him for his proactivity in identifying that in order to start the knowledge transfer that needs to happen from the current chief and a successor that he may choose with the assistance of the administration. The first page of the budget is the revenues. So there is a contribution from the fire department equipment reserve fund of approximately $820,000. Contribution from the town residents of approximately $684,700. Contribution from CBRD of approximately $450,000. The total is estimated at $1.9 million, and it may look like a significant amount increase, almost 600,000 increase, and that is because of a capital expense that I will explain later on, which is to purchase a truck. They're not very cheap at all. Going down, and this budget was developed with the fire chief, the CFO, and myself, you will see some of the operational expenses are fairly in line. Some have been reduced from previous years. That was due to an effort to keep costs at a minimum. There is a planned $70,000 expense line item for succession planning, which you will see fairly shortly after, nope, you passed it already. Can you scroll up? The first set of expenses, right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 line items down. This is a new item. And that is the reason for the majority of the $90,000 increase year over year. This money, if it is spent, if it is needed, it is budgeted and it will be spent to enable a succession planning event because anything can happen. And again, if it is not spent, it remains in the organization. But this is the primary change for that more than 2/3 of the $97,000 cost increase year over year. The total fire force budget is estimated at $525,700. Fire alarms and fire hall operations is estimated at $85,000. Ronnie, if you could scroll down, please, that would be great. Total is for the fire alarm, fire hall is $85,000. Again, this is barely $6,000 more than the previous year, so it's not a significant increase in cost in that particular domain. Training, if you want to scroll down, thank you. Training grounds facilities, this again is kept at a minimum. We have done some reduction in that particular area to try to balance off the cost increase year over year. I would like to highlight that it has come to my attention the challenges of securing training spaces for our fire department on the island and off the island, as far as Richmond area, for some reason that's coming to mind. Maple Ridge, thank you. In the very near future, council might be asked to consider making some investments in fire training facility locally here. We are doing some research into trying to see if other fire departments would be interested in doing their training with us from a financial perspective to make it a viable model that the municipality can pursue. We're in our very early stages of that particular research, but again, right now our fire department has to travel off the island to get training to maintain their certification in order to operate the department, and that is presenting a significant cost, but also a significant operational management risk for our fire department in the long term. If you want to scroll down, thank you. This section of the budget is about our fleet, so we have a number of vehicles and equipment within our portfolio. We estimate the total operating cost for that year for 2026 would be $146,000. Again, looking at our current trends, this is also less than what we had budgeted for 2025. So we are looking at ways to reduce where we can and to manage as efficiently as possible. Scroll down. We have some sundry and insurance. These are necessary expenses to operate the department. We estimated at $5,500. That's staying the same. And fire prevention, we live in a forest. Fire risk is a significant event every year, and it seems to be getting worse. We anticipate another $30,000 to be spent there, which is slightly up from the previous budgeted year, $10,000 higher. All in all, the total operating cost is expected to be about $794,000 from $1.9 million in revenues. And you will see why, where the rest of the funds are being dedicated. If you want to scroll down. Reserve and capital expenses. The largest item you will see there is the $760,000, which is to purchase a chassis for a fire truck number 8 replacement. This is fire equipment and fire department operations is regulated by the Fire Underwriter Survey and the mandated direction that we need to have in terms of equipment types, equipment scopes, access to our fire hydrant and reservoir system in the community, all impact home insurance and business insurance and property insurance values across the community. Every year, those costs go up. With tariffs, those costs are also going to go even much higher because some of the supply chains are integrated with the United States and other jurisdictions. So the largest item in our capital budget for 2026 is going to be the purchase of a new fire truck chassis, and we are transferring from reserve in order to cover some of those costs. All in all, we anticipate transfers from reserves and capital to be about 1.1 million of the 1.9 million dollars that we're expected to use in 2026, which is, at the end of the day, leaving us with a total increase of 97,200, a 7.5 increase.
Thank you for that. We'll get back up to the options. There are three options there. Staff is recommending option 1, which is receive this staff report and approve the budget as presented. Would anyone care to move that? Moved by Councillor Frisbee, seconded by Councillor Sandu. Discussion? Councillor Frisbee.
I know there was discussion, I think it was last year or the year before, how we do require a ladder truck with the amount of development we've got going on. Is there anything in this budget that would accommodate that? Is that the money towards reserves, or does that fit into our plans anywhere?
I will have to get back to you on that, but my sense is telling me it's related to the chassis replacement for that truck.
So the new fire truck is actually for a ladder truck? It's not a
It's
replacement of
not
the
a
one?
ladder truck. It's a replacement of
It's just a
number
replacement.
14, yes.
Because there was
It's
discussion that
aged out.
we needed the
There
ladder
was
truck.
budget last year for the possible purchase of a second-hand ladder truck.
Yeah,
I don't believe that,
it is in here?
there was 60,000 placed into that, but not expended. This is a replacement of a vehicle that has gone past its 25-year best before date, which I don't tend to agree with, but I'm not the fire underwriters. And I think we have tried to accommodate a change in that during our advocacy programs, but have failed miserably. Mr. Thomas.
What I will do is I will touch base with the fire chief tomorrow, if he is available, and get you a specific answer for that and report back to council. Tonight, the goal is to have council's eyes on it. If council materially agrees with the direction, we have it sent over to the CVRD so they can input that into their budget and start their process. And if council needs to request a specific change, we can certainly do that later.
Follow up, are you good?
No, I mean, I just, I think the amounts that were thrown at us for the aerial truck were a lot higher than that. So my concern is that there's not enough money in that if something does come up, but we can make changes as we go, I guess.
Thank you. Councillor Sandu.
Just further on that, that 60,000 was from the first year. I can't remember what year it was, 2023 maybe, that 60,000. So I agree, it needs to change.
So just taking into consideration those discussions, if you'll just forward those to the fire chief on any update on the ladder equipment that was discussed previously. We do have a motion on the floor for approving the staff report and the budget as presented. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Thanks for that. And we have permissive tax exemption bylaw for the Bishop of Victoria Catholic Church, the Rectory Food Bank. Mr. Thomas, again, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a continuation of a previous discussion from a council meeting, which took place on September 16th, where first, second, third reading was given. Tonight is an opportunity to provide adoption or fourth reading, final reading on this particular bylaw. This is to provide tax exemption for the rectory area, which is covered under a lease to the Lake Cowichan Food Bank for their operations. We have met with the priest in charge of the operation. I don't want to mispronounce his name. We have confirmation of the lease in place, and we are comfortable to recommend that council move forward with adoption of this bylaw.
Would someone like to move that? Moved by Councillor Frisbee, seconded by Councillor Austin. Discussion on the tax exemption bylaw endorsement. Seeing none, all in favor of adoption? Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Thomas, for filling in there. Next up, we have Freeman of the Town announcement.
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Absolutely.
council be interested in doing the leave of absence first, the Freeman announcement, and then go into recess?
Absolutely. So we will look for the leave of absence for Councillor Frisbee for the November 4th Committee of the Whole. Would someone like to move that? Moved by Councillor Bomaka, seconded by Councillor Sandu. Any discussion or questioning of Mr. Frisbee? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Now we'll move to the appointment of the Freeman of the Town. Council is honored to share that we are gathered this evening to celebrate the appointment of a new Freeman of the Town of Lake Cowichan. The title of Freeman of the Town represents the highest civic honor that council may bestow, and it is reserved for those who have made exceptional and lasting contributions to the social, cultural, or civic life of our community. Individuals who've demonstrated integrity, passion, compassion, and a deep commitment to the advancement of our town and its people. Over the years, those appointed as freemen have embodied the very spirit of citizenship, generosity, and community pride that defines Town of Lake Cowichan, and council remains deeply grateful for their contributions and the example they continue to set for future generations. So it's mine and council's honor and privilege to confer the title of Freeman of the Town to Mr. Ross Forrest. And at this time, I'm going to turn to each council member to share a few words about the new appointee and the significance of this honor. So I will start. I had the privilege of serving under Mr. Forrest as a mayor for 10 years and saw continuous improvements in capital and policy and improvements within our infrastructure during that time. At that time, having secured one of the largest grants, federal grants for our water treatment plant, which we have superseded, I'm sorry to say, but, oh, that sounded like Trump, didn't it? But not only in his civic, it was a great grant, it was a beautiful grant, not only in his civic duties, but also within the community, volunteering in organizations throughout Lake Cowichan and further, whether it's sports, whether it's social or service groups. I commend Mr. Forrest for his continuing support of the Town of Lake Cowichan, and congratulations on the appointment. Councillor Austin.
Thank you. I had the privilege of serving my first term with Ross as mayor. He was a stickler for following the rules, the bylaws, the policies, and the protocols, and I learned a lot. We butted heads a couple of times, but it all worked out. He's a great community member. All his life here, I believe he's been volunteering for different things. We've both been on the Elder Care Society now for 10 years, trying to build a senior facility here. And this is just an honor that's truly well-deserved. Ross, you truly deserve it.
And moving on, Councillor Frisbee, anything?
Yeah, Ross, I couldn't think of a more deserving person for this recognition, mate. I think I can call you mate too. I don't think anyone's going to take offence to that one, because I do. I do consider you a mate, but you're one of the first people that I met in Lake Cowichan 15 years ago when I came here with business ideas, and I felt supported from the get-go. And I think that everybody that has come to you with new ideas has felt supported, whether that's with business or with the Kraken or the Apollo's re-emergence. But you're not just a supporter, you're also someone who'll get their hands dirty. For a number of years there, I knew I could find you at the ball field picking up weeds. And you've also become the welcoming face to thousands of tourists every year to our community. So I just want to thank you for everything you've done for the community, myself and my family. And I realize a lot of these positions and the work you've done are thankless tasks, but I hope this counts as a small recognition of everything you've done. I understand, I see that Tracy's not here tonight, but I'd like to thank her as well for supporting you and everything that you've done and going on those quick walks that turn into marathons with conversations on every corner. But those conversations are the glue that keep our community together. So Congratulations, mate.
Thank you for that. Councillor Sandu?
Thank you. I never had the privilege of sitting at the table with Mayor Forrest of the day, but we did butt heads a couple times when I came to council on a couple items. But I just want to talk personally that what Ross has contributed to the community, my next door neighbors are seniors, and he has been their volunteer driver. But not just driving them to an appointment and dropping them all back at home. It was it was relationship building, and that's how they felt that he is their friend. And I just want to say thank you to that. And they're just one of many out there, Ross. And just your compassion and love of the residents in our community, it brought me back to this table when I thought I had retired from politics. And I just want to, again, just thank you and your family for everything you do here, because without families like you, we wouldn't be where we are. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Wamaka?
Thank you, Ross. I want to extend my thanks for you for your mentorship during my first term. I have a strong personality, but you broke through and saw that as passion, and I thank you for that. I'm not difficult as long as you do things my way. Yeah. I thank you for I think we went to Otaki together, and you and Jane Ingram took my son under your wings, and that meant a lot to him on that trip. And I always remember certain words that you said to me, and my first term, it was, whenever you make a decision, make it for the community as a whole. And whenever I make a decision at this table, I still ring those words in my thoughts. If what I'm deciding, is it for the community as a whole? And I thank you very much for those words of wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So council extends its warmest congratulations and heartfelt appreciation to you, Mr. Forrest, for your many years of exemplary service, leadership, and commitment to the people of Lake Cowichan. Your name will join the other freemen of the town: A.B. Archie Greenwell, 1987, Thomas Gordon, 2004, Berend Barry Volkers, 2008, Hazel Elves Beach, 2011, Patricia E. Foster, 2015, and Pat Weaver, 2022. So at this time, council directs staff to organize a ceremonial gathering for all individuals who have been appointed as freemen of the town, to be held in November or early December 2025. This event will provide an opportunity to present official awards and celebrate the remarkable contributions of these distinguished individuals whose service and dedication have significantly enriched the whole community. So to yourself, to Freeman Foster and Freeman Weaver, please watch for the invitation and respond accordingly as to your availability. And at this point, I'd like to have a round of applause for the new Freeman, Mr. Forrest. I know you're quite shy, but if you'd like to come to the podium and just say a few words, you're more than welcome to.
Well, I don't know what to say here. Mayor McGonigal, council, staff, thank you very much. Obviously, I'm deeply honored and humbled. I know all the other Freemans that you've listed, every one of them. I've been here a while, obviously, but I've never done anything as an individual. It was everything I've contributed to this town has been part of a team. I was lucky to have three great councils, two of them were for 2 terms, Mayor McGonigal and Bob Day, Jane Ingram, and Franklin Hornbrook, and then Carolyn and Lorna. And we did a lot together, and it wasn't always like you say, we butted heads at times, but I think as a whole, we did have the community's best interests. I'm an emotional guy. Sorry for this. I really wasn't expecting this. Like I say, I'm really humbled to receive this award. So thank you to the community that has accepted me for as long as I've been here. And yeah, don't know what else to say, except thanks very much.
You're very welcome. Well deserved. Very well appreciated. I'm sorry to do that to you, but we have changed the way that we're doing some ceremonies. From now on, we're going to celebrate and not just have a picture and an appointment. There will be a ceremony accordingly for the three freemen, and we'll celebrate it together. And the invitations will be forthcoming. So thank you for joining us, and again, I apologize. Now, the mayor's report. What? If anyone would like to leave the room, now is the time. I promise I won't channel a certain elected official anymore. So this is for October, my quarterly report. As we gather for this meeting, I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible volunteers in our community. Your unwavering commitment and dedication are the backbone of our town's vibrancy. Whether it's organizing events, supporting local initiatives, or lending a helping hand in time of needs, your efforts do not go unnoticed. I'd also like to extend a special thank you to our staff and employees. Your hard work and determination play a vital role in our ongoing efforts to enhance the quality of life in our community. Thank you. Together, we're making strides towards a brighter future, and it's your service that makes all the difference. Let us continue to support one another and work collaboratively to foster a sense of belonging and pride in our town. Thank you for your dedication and service. Thank you very much. It's been 4 months now, believe it or not, since Mr. Thomas has joined us as our new CAO, and the transition is going well. With our knowledgeable staff and council, we all attended the annual UBCM conference in Victoria last month, aside from Councillor Austin, who has personal reasons that could not attend, and had very successful conversations with various ministries on ideas for improvements in the Lake Cowichan area. Everything from health needs, environmental protection issues, and crown land opportunities for use by the town, hoping that these meetings bring exciting news in the near future that we can share. As we enter the last year of this term, we'll be looking to make strides towards reviewing our strategic plan to reflect the pressures of the current economic climate and adjust accordingly. Special thanks go out to staff and council for your continued support as we advance the vision for the town. Councillor Frisbee will relinquish his role as deputy mayor as Councillor Bomaka takes over for the final year. We appreciate Councillor Frisbee's dedication and service to this position and look forward to Councillor Bomaka's leadership. Together, we remain committed to fostering a growing, vibrant community that meets the needs of all our residents. Let's work collaboratively to overcome challenges and seize new opportunity in the coming months. Thank you very much. And with that, any notices of motion? I saw none at the beginning. Last chance. Committee of the Whole will be November 4th, not November 11th, as there's another ceremony that day that we will be attending. So November 4th for the Committee of the Whole. And we have question period. If there are questions on tonight's agenda, please come to the podium, state your name, your question. You're allowed one question and a follow-up, and it should be directed to the chair. I will answer if I can. If not, we'll get the answer to you. Any questions tonight? Seeing none, looking for a motion to go in camera, and the reasons for are Section 92 of the Community Charter requires that before a meeting or part of a meeting is closed to the public, council must state by resolution that the meeting is to be closed, and the basis on which the meeting is to be closed falls under the following section of the community charter. Section 90, 1C, under labor relations. Would someone like to move that we go in camera? Councilor Ramaka, seconded by Councilor Sandu. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Take a short recess and then convene back in camera. Thank you for attending.